Hello, and welcome to the first in a series of videos covering the Workload Management Tool, also known as the WMT. In this video, we'll take a look at today's challenges in the workload assignment and tracking. We'll look at some of the benefits of the Workload Management Tool solution. We'll see how WMT works with your case management system and current processes. We will explore the work unit structure, which is really at the heart of the WMT solution. And finally, we'll touch on what to expect in a typical implementation of WMT. To begin with, let's look at some common challenges that supervisors face. Now, a brief word of warning, you might recognize some of these. Today, do your supervisors have visibility into work volumes, and do they know what assignments their team is working on, along with the status of those assignments? Do they have visibility into the critical steps needed to get work done? Are they able to see individual productivity on a day-by-day basis? Can they reassign work easily when someone is out unexpectedly? Do they know that standard processes are being performed consistently across their entire team? Is quality review a proactive part of how they spend their time? In most organizations, the answer to these questions are no. Today, are your staff tracking their work and priorities using yellow sticky notes or calendars or individual spreadsheets? Do they have to scramble to get information to their supervisors about the status of their assignments? Do they go home at night worried that something is falling through the cracks? In most organizations, the answers to these questions are yes. It was these questions and more that led to the development of InTelegy's workload management tool, the WMT. Here are just some of the benefits. WMT is easy to learn and use. There's easy visualization for workers to prioritize and account for their assignments. A user-friendly interface that requires minimal time and input from staff. WMT promotes collaboration and standardization. It encourages standardized workflow for your key business processes. Everyone using the same platform to manage assignments across the entire organization means that there is one source of truth. There is reinforcement of policy and training through links to your documentation and policies. WMT has full accountability and traceability. Detailed information on each assignment that easily shows where in the process an assignment is waiting or is stuck. WMT has a robust workload equalization feature. It can distribute and balance assignments across regions and teams with exposure to current assignment volumes and backlog of work. It allows for flexible reassignments due to staff absences or changes in work priorities. WMT is rich in operational data. Along with out-of-the-box reporting, extracted data provides a foundation for deep reporting and analytics. We recognize that your case management system is your system of record for all of your organization's case information. It's where casework is performed and recorded, and it contains critical customer contact information and details and narratives about each case. WMT does not replace your case management system, but rather wraps around it to provide capabilities to sort and prioritize workload, assign work across teams, and track the status of specific assignments for each case. It is important to first understand this distinction in order to grasp the concept of the work unit structure. In essence, a work unit is a representation of a key business process that consists of phases and action steps. You can define as many or as few work units as your organization needs, and they can be easily changed and customized as policies and business process requirements change. You might, for example, have a work unit for processing a case reassessment or an application intake. In each case, your work unit definition clearly spells out the phases and steps needed to complete each process. Let's take a look at an example. The following work unit definition might describe an application for in-home support services. We have an assignment phase, and then progress to pre-verification. We then prepare for a home visit, conduct a home visit, and finally register the case in our case management system and issue services. Finally, there may be a review step that the supervisor performs to close out the work unit. For each of these phases, we will have a list of action steps that must be done in order for the phase to be completed. We then progress through each phase until the assignment itself is complete. For more experienced staff, we can allow them the ability to complete a work unit in any phase. Using this method to define and process our work helps us ensure that all work is being completed consistently. It shows us where the assignment is in the process and what is due to be done next. It allows us to see when work is due and what is running late. And from a sampling, it allows fine-tuning of the business process to smooth out any issues and wrinkles. And it provides staff the visibility and satisfaction in seeing the progress they're making. Let's take a brief look at implementation. Depending on the size and complexity of your organization, a typical implementation can take between 4 to 6 months, with a 2 to 3 hour per week commitment from committee members. In the first month, the technology implementation begins. InTelegy will work with your IT department to define and implement the necessary server infrastructure required to run WMT. Also during the first month, the operations team is formed. This team will initially be tasked with defining the work unit definitions we saw earlier. In month 2 and 3, the work units are defined by the operational team and then they are added to WMT. Also during months 2 and 3, the technical team will be collecting additional information such as teams and resources, locations and caseloads, etc. These will be used in the initial configuration of WMT. Once these steps are completed, InTelegy will start efforts required to collect and convert historical data that will be needed on the first day of launch. In the final month, training sessions will be conducted for all staff that will be using and administering the WMT. The final month will be marked with a go-live event and then with ongoing support. The following teams will be required for implementation. Note that some of these teams may be required more during certain times in the implementation process. The technology team is led by InTelegy's technology lead and will be responsible for driving the technical implementation of WMT. This team will consist largely of technical resources from your IT department who specialize in certain types of service, such as server provisioning, user account services, network and security, and business intelligence. Once the initial infrastructure footprint required by WMT is established, their involvement in the project will be minimal. The operations implementation team will be led by the operations lead and will consist of managers, supervisors, and social workers. There may be some light involvement required from other teams, such as policy and programs. The main focus of the operations team will be to define the work units and decide how work is processed through WMT. In a later video, we will explore in detail the decisions that this team will be making. The third team covers training and subject matter experts. This team is led by InTelegy's training consultant and focuses on the training curriculum for both initial and ongoing training support of WMT. This team, coupled with the operations team, play a significant role in the communication strategy for WMT as implementation progresses. In summary, the above teams are recommended by InTelegy for a successful implementation and launch. Once launched, InTelegy will remain engaged to help ensure successful adoption of WMT within your organization. This concludes the first video in the WMT video series. Please stay tuned for the next video, Using WMT.